tankers, and welcome back to another one of my tank reviews. Today we're going to be comparing the T-22 medium to the M60, the 121B, and the 140, just because it's similar, along with some ace tanker gameplay, and we'll also take a look at the armor profile as usual. So, starting off, you can see that the damage per minute of the T-22 has 3,505. Which is very high, almost as high as the Object 140's 3,591. The M60 and the 121B do fall behind a little, but they make up in other areas. The penetration is not super high, as the 140 and the T-22 have the same pen at only 240, and the M60 has 250 and the 121B has a middle 245. The alpha damage is also on the lowest at 310 compared to the M60's 350 and the 121B's 350 also. The rate of fire, however, as you can see, is super high compared to the two tanks in the middle. Because of that, the caliber is only 100mm instead of 105. And the shell velocity is also not super fast, even though it does fire APCR as its main round, and the 140 actually fires AP. As you can see, the shell velocity on an M60 is 1478, as the same with the 121B, and the 140 has an amazing 1535, which is 50% higher. The aiming time is also the slowest, as you can see, but it's still not bad, only 2 seconds. The dispersion, however, is very good, being better than a Object 140 and an M60, being exactly par with a 121B. The turret movement is about the same as the other tanks except for the 140. And the depression is actually more than I thought it was going to be, at being 6 degrees instead of the 5 on PC. The M60 has a 10 degree and the 140 also has 6. The speed forwards, though, as you can see, is very modest at 55 compared to the M60's 48, and the 121B actually comes in the lead by 2% with a 56. The engine power is also very good. As you can see, the power to weight ratio is completely insane compared to all these other tanks, but the effective horsepower to ton below it is not very good, as you can see. However, terrain resistance is pretty much in the medium. The credit coefficient from my playing in the tank is about the same as any other tier 10, so probably about like M60-ish, not actually earning any credits. The view range is pretty much in the middle between all the other tanks except for the M60's very good 285. It also has a decent amount of hit points at 1850. And the tank is not actually very good at ramming, which is very surprising to me. Hull armor is 100, and the turret armor is a very good Russian 230, and we'll take a look at that in Armor Inspector in a little bit. The win rate, nothing is posted for this tank yet, because actually super testers haven't even gotten access to this tank. I'm like one of the second people in North America to drive this tank. So, over at the armor, you can see that dead on it's about 230 and the lower plate's 222. So it's not amazing aiming directly on. But as you can see, this triangular shape makes it impossible to pen this thing in the side. As you can see, I'm almost turning this tank completely, like that's almost like a 70-degree angle over here, and you still can't pen it, because any shell over 70 degrees is an auto ricochet. So any shell you fire at the side of this tank, when it's aiming at you like this, will actually ricochet. So if it's hiding its frontal plate, you got to be very careful. And this tank is notorious for rear side scraping, but the only problem with reverse side scraping is that you can only pull out at about this angle here, because the problem is that the turret actually, when it gets a little too far back, only has 4 to 2 degrees of gun depression. So you have to be very careful with reverse side scraping. The rear of the tank, though, however, is 106 to 150, which means that you're not going to be able to actually pen the tank anywhere with HE, as you can see, as the whole tank is very strong. The turret is simple. It's very overpowered for Russians. It is pretty much impenetrable everywhere you aim. And just to give you a perspective on how good this armor is, I'll bring out an Object 268. This is an Object 2... there you go, swap it. This is an Object 268 aiming AP at your side. Still can't pen you if you're hiding at a building. Even with heat, as you can see, that angle there, it's almost impossible to pen you. As you can see, that armor's up to 400 millimeters thick on the side. It is extremely insane. You only have a 2% chance to go through. And since this tank is such a good accurate gun, it's just able to whittle you down. Now that we've gotten through this, let's take a look at some Ace Tinker gameplay. So the first replay we have is on Oasis Palms, as you can see. And you can see we're against some pretty good tanks. T-30 being a threat, because he can pen me, Batchat can clip me out, AMX, they got a bunch of bad tanks you don't want to mess with. And I don't know why I had the camera facing backwards, but I guess it'll work for a good thumbnail. But you can see, by the way, that I didn't get the special camo on this tank, because this tank cost me about $250 to get. And the camo is another 1,500 candy canes, which is literally another $250. So do not try and get the camo. And the T-95E6 is going to be just luck if you get it or not. But you can see already, I'm pushing medium. And you can see this amazing traverse of the hull. And I misclicked the fire button there, but it worked out anyways. And you can see the good HE damage. It has an average damage of about 420, which is pretty good. And the Batchat, he was trying to come around for more. I've noticed that a lot of people just try to kill this tank because it's new. But if you see me a couple times, I will actually try to let them shoot at my side more than they can shoot at the hull of the tank, just because the side's so strong. And now I'm in a little bit of predicament here, because you can see me being rushed by two deadly tanks, one of which can hesh me, but will have a very hard time heshing me in the side, as you can see, as the spaced armor is pretty good. That great hull of the FE does manage to bounce my APCR. Tries to run away, but I managed to snap a shot right through that little crack. Don't know how that happened. Do see the 75, and I saw the T-30 miss me. The only reason I knew it was the T-30 because there were two tanks left, and I was pretty sure it wasn't that guy. So there's the T-30, spotted him. Going to snap shell. And you can see, even though the shell velocity isn't as good as other mediums, it's still a very good shell velocity. Where, as soon as you shoot, that shell's hitting the enemy. You can just see me pound shell after shell into them. I only took about 600 damage that game. It was only a 2-minute game. Got the mastery, as you can see. Best on the team, 3,800 damage, 16 shots fired, 15 hit, and 13 penned, which is pretty good. That's about 80% of my shells going through. I only spotted one enemy, so I guess it didn't spot the T-30. You can see, though, that this tank actually does earn quite a bit of credits, but because you're running so much stuff on it, it just loses all the credits it earns. As you can see, I only earned 19,000 credits in a great game. So if this wasn't a great game, and by the way, I didn't shoot any premium ammunition. If this was a normal game, I would have lost credits probably if I had done 2,000 damage. So this tank is not the best at earning credits, as you can see. But enough of that, let's get into the second replay. The second replay, as you can see, is on Canyon, and we are in Supremacy. And I'm not a huge fan of Supremacy because it's sort of like you have to push there or you'll lose on base capture. And you'll have some of those games where you lose on the base capture where you could have done 5,000. I only broke 5,000 once in this tank, but it was because of an AFK, so I'm not going to put that replay in. And you can see actually this tank does hold a lot of ammo, being at that's about 30, it holds 90 shells, I'm pretty sure. So you can be more than happy carrying enough heat if you don't pen as many shots. Yeah, you can see the game's a little laggy at the beginning. Some tanks are spazzing out, but should be fine. You can see though that the APCR pen is very poor, as I cannot pen the front of a 268. Do bounce a shell though. And you can see that the shell velocity did actually take a little bit of a while there. And since this tank does actually get 6 degrees of gun depression, which I didn't expect, you can work the ridgeline much better, because this tank is such a strong turret. This M48 patent, or M46 patent, has such a hard time penning me. And so far it's just all been bounces. He knows he can't push on me because my reload just completely murders him. But I was getting a little bored, so I decided I'll trade a shell. As you can see though, the hull armor isn't going to bounce much, but if you can get the right angle and you can just bully any tank that you go against, as you can see, he's just trying to aim at my armor, as I'm just easily going right through him. This is pretty much a medium tank destroyer, because the aiming time is very accurate, as you can see, and the accuracy is very good on the dispersion. It's sort of like a T-22A with more armor, the same speed, and a better turret and more gun depression. It's like if you combined a 62A with a 140 but kept the turret on it. And as you can see, that great traverse again as I turn, try to bait that guy out, which works. As soon as I clear this patent, all of my troubles are gone. Unfortunately, I screw that shell up, but it's okay. I'll get this one. Do see a Jagdpanzer, which I did think was actually trying to get me, but decided to stop. Tried to hit that little thing at the top. Hit it, just bounced. You can see this E100 not paying attention, aiming at him. And I do see that AMX one slow to heat rounds. You can see this amazing reload as I'm still able to snap a shell into that AMX before he gets away. And now I'm going to harass this Jagdpanzer, and he's pretty much screwed now, where he can't do anything to me. I'm just going to hit shell after shell into him. Yeah. And you can see that this tank is just way too good as of right now. I do think Wargaming is going to nerf it, but since it's such an expensive tank to get, they're going to have a lot of overpowered people in this thing to actually nerf it. Because I'm doing easy 4,000 damage games. Like, some of these games are harder than the others. As you can see, this tank works ridgelines pretty well, actually. But some games you can just drive right up, bounce 10 shells from people that don't know how to aim at it, and just kill everybody in front of you. As you can see, I did 4.3. I bounced 3,240 damage. That is just absurd. Like, I did 4.388, and this wasn't even close to one of my highest damage games. I've done 5.5. I got steel wall in a medium tank. That shouldn't be possible. Like, I did 24 shots and 18 of them penned, which is still a big amount. And I spotted 6 enemies, so I got 1,900 assistance damage. I got 1,501 experience, which is insane. That's hard to get 1,500 in a housing. And the battle duration was 4 minutes, so it was actually a bit longer, but it's just insane how quick you can tear apart the people you're against. Like, you just get so many awards, and you can confidently push against other people and kill them all. But enough of that. Like, and not to mention, the take actually looks pretty decent, to where I've only played a total of 31 games in it, and I have a 75% win rate and 3,300 average damage. Now, this tank, the only drawback with it is that it cost me $250 to get this. And that is just absurd. You should not need to spend $250 to be able to play a tier 10 that you want to get. The T-95E6 is not worth even trying to get, because I opened about, I'd say, 15 lucky draws with the money I spent on the chest, and I didn't manage to get it once. And not to mention, I already have every single premium tank except the two 10s in the, well, now the 110 in the lucky draw, and I still managed to land on the free experience, which is terrible, more than I could actually even get close to the T-22. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I might do a 121B video next, so in the comments tell me what you want to see. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.